An HOA president broke into my farm, slapped me across the face, and called 911 screaming I attacked her. She had no idea the dangerous farmer she was trying to arrest was the sheriff she just summoned. I'm Marcus Reed, 20 years wearing this badge. Black man who earned every inch of this land and every ounce of respect in this county. When my own deputies arrived, I gave one quiet order. Don't stop her. Let her keep talking. Let the body cam bury her. By sunset, she was in handcuffs. By court date, she was banned from HOA leadership for 2 years. Justice isn't loud, but when it lands, everyone hears it. Most trouble doesn't announce itself. It slips in quiet like a fox under a fence or a cold draft through a crooked window. That morning started peaceful. The kind of morning that tricks a man into thinking trouble might skip him just this once. I'm a black man who grew up in Atlanta's 4th Ward. Concrete, sirens, survival. Made it out through discipline and a spine my grandmother said was forged in Sunday school and sharpened on Monday streets. Police academy at 22, deputy at 24, sheriff at 38. Bought this farm 10 years ago with money I saved one paycheck at a time, 80 acres of pasture, orchard, and peace in a county that didn't always want to see a black sheriff, but learned to respect one. I've worn this badge for 2 decades, delivered bad news to families, pulled bodies from wrecks, arrested men twice my size and women half my age. But that morning, I wasn't Sheriff Reed. I was just Marcus fixing a fence, drinking burnt coffee, listening to goats complain about breakfast being 3 minutes late. The sun was pushing over the ridge, turning dew into diamonds across the pasture grass. I had a thermos in one hand, fence post in the other, humming an old tune my father used to whistle. Life gets complicated, but fences stay honest. The north pasture had taken a beating the night before, windstorm, sudden and sharp, so I walked the line like I'd done 10,000 times, checking staples, tapping wire. The goats milled behind me. One of them, Beulah, the loud one, complained like I'd forgotten her entirely. "You'll survive," I told her. She didn't look convinced. I leaned on the fence, looked out across the orchard. Young apple saplings shimmered in morning light, 3rd-generation grafts I'd been raising with more patience than most folks give their kids. Everything was as it should be. Then I heard it. The crunch of tires on gravel. Fast. Too fast. A city kind of fast. I straightened, listening. The sound grew louder, sharp pops of gravel under heavy wheels. No visitor drives that way. No delivery truck either. This was someone who believed the world ought to move out of their way, and even before I saw that white SUV tear past the farm stand and blow through the gate, I knew exactly whose kind of trouble was coming. I just didn't know she'd brought a war. The trouble didn't start that morning. The roots went deeper like creeping weeds running under soil long before breaking the surface. The subdivision bordering my farm, Heritage Oaks, wasn't always there. For most of my life, that land was quiet woods, tall pines, a creek, old deer trails. Then one summer, the trees came down. Survey stakes went in neon orange and arrogant. Within months, woods became cul-de-sacs. The folks who moved into Heritage Oaks weren't the kind who wanted to join the land. They wanted to correct it. First letter came in a crisp envelope, blue and gold, polished like a diploma. Partnership opportunity, the heading said. Inside. Requests for a scenic trail through my pasture, a community playground on my south acreage, a shared garden run by their HOA agricultural committee. An agricultural committee made of people whose only soil experience came from bagged potting mix. I wrote back simple and polite. No negotiation. No committee. No trespassing disguised as beautification. I figured that would settle things, but HOAs don't believe in settled. They believe in persistence, weaponized, and relentless. And at the center stood Karen Hartley, president of the Heritage Oaks Executive Board, self-crowned guardian of property values, queen of rules nobody asked for. She terrorized her own neighborhood first, Clara widow, soft eyes, wind chimes on her porch, got a notice about a wooden rocking chair her late husband had carved by hand. Porch furniture must match community standard. Replace immediately. Clara couldn't afford it. Couldn't bear to part with it. So Karen sent contractors who picked up that chair like yard waste and tossed it in a trailer, one leg split clean down the grain. Clara went inside, closed her door, turned off her porch light, hasn't turned it back on since. Then the Davises, young family, 2 boys. The younger kid left his bike leaning against the garage. HOA photographed it, filed a notice, issued a fine. When they tried to reason, Karen showed up with her clipboard. Clutter signals neglect. Neglect lowers property values. It was a child's bicycle. They paid the fine because they couldn't afford a legal battle. Karen measured grass with rulers, fined people for improperly folded flags, tried to penalize wind chimes. She didn't enforce rules. She enforced power. And now that power was tearing across my land at 40 miles per hour. The white SUV crested the hill like a missile, sunlight flashing off the windshield. Dust billowed behind it, rolling across my pasture like smoke. Nobody drives onto a farm like that unless they're lost, drunk, or looking for trouble. I dropped my tools and stepped into the lane. The goats fell quiet. Even animals know when something's wrong. The SUV didn't slow, didn't hesitate. It barreled straight toward me until the last possible second tire sliding in loose gravel. The front bumper stopped so close I could see my reflection in the chrome. A moment passed. Long. The kind that makes a man breathe deeper and wonder what attitude's about to pour out of that driver's seat. Then the door swung open. Out climbed Karen, and for the first time, I saw her in full. She wore a crimson-red blazer, tailored so sharply it looked like armor fitted perfectly to her frame, draped open just enough to reveal a black silk blouse beneath. The neckline plunged in a deep V that commanded attention whether you wanted to give it or not. Her pencil skirt matched the blazer crimson, sleek, with a subtle slit that moved with confidence, not modesty. Glossy red heels clicked against gravel with sharp, deliberate rhythm, the sound of someone who believed every surface should accommodate her. Her hair, a rich burgundy that caught morning light like polished mahogany, fell in soft waves to her shoulders, framing her face with calculated elegance. And her lips, painted in the same bold, glossy red as her heels, were pressed into a thin line of impatience. She looked stunning, polished, commanding, like a woman who'd dressed for battle and expected to win without a fight. A latte was clenched in one hand like a sacred object. Sunglasses perched on her nose, oversized, expensive. She slammed the door so hard the whole SUV shuddered. "Excuse you?" she snapped, as if I'd thrown myself in front of her vehicle. "You almost made me spill my latte." I didn't respond. The land answered, with silence flat. Unimpressed silence. Karen flicked dust off her crimson sleeve like the entire farm existed to inconvenience her. "I'm going to need you to move," she said, pointing behind me with the authority of a queen dismissing a servant. "I'll be parking in the open area back there." I blinked once, slowly. "Back there?" I repeated. "Yes, back there?" She huffed. "The HOA is conducting a trail survey today. My committee," she put emphasis on my, "is assessing future recreation zones. We'll be using this area." I let that settle. "Ma'am, this is private land. You're not parking here. You're not surveying here. And your HOA has no jurisdiction on this property." Her laugh startled a crow off a fence post. "Oh, please," she said, waving dismissively. "We're all part of the same community. Your land is basically unused space." The HOA board agreed it would be ideal for a future walking trail. A future trail. On my land, approved by people who didn't own a square inch of it. My jaw tightened. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you once. Turn your vehicle around and leave the property." Her head snapped back like I'd insulted her ancestors. "Are you seriously trying to tell me what I can and can't do?" She planted a hand on her hip, her crimson blazer shifting with the motion. "I'm the HOA president. I make decisions for this entire area. For the subdivision," I corrected, "not the county, and definitely not my farm." She rolled her eyes like logic gave her a rash. Then she walked past me, heels sinking into damp soil, and headed straight for the pasture gate. She bent down, plucked a clover stem, sniffed it, tossed it away like she was appraising produce. "This area will be perfect," she murmured to herself. "We'll need clearing, maybe some gravel laid." "Stop," I said, stepping in front of her. "You're trespassing." She blinked twice, then her expression sharpened into something mean. "You don't know who you're talking to," she hissed. "I know exactly who I'm talking to," I replied. "And I'm telling you again, leave." Her laugh turned razor sharp. "You think some farmer can threaten me? Honey, I have influence. I'll get you fined. I'll get you evicted. I'll get your entire operation shut down." I'd heard plenty of threats in my line of work, most from people with more sense than Karen. I took a slow breath. "Ma'am," that's when she slapped me. A sharp, open-handed crack that echoed across the pasture. No warning, no hesitation. Just pure entitlement, wrapped in crimson fabric. My cheek burned. I tasted copper, but I didn't flinch, didn't raise a hand. I just memorized the feeling. Because in my line of work, that sting isn't pain, it's evidence. "You need to leave right now," I said quietly. She stormed back to her SUV, jumped in, floored it. But instead of heading toward the exit, she whipped the wheel and tore across my pasture straight through a line of young apple saplings I'd spent 3 years cultivating. One snapped clean in half. Another vanished under the bumper. The fence groaned as she clipped it, wire sagging inward. She was yelling into her phone now, frantic, dramatic, every sentence louder than the last. Then a phrase drifted to me on the wind. "Help! I'm being attacked by a violent farmer! Send the police!" I rubbed the side of my face where she'd slapped me, and I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of the irony this woman had no idea she was about to choke on. I didn't chase her. My property's laid out like a funnel. Everything leads back to one main driveway. The same driveway where any responding deputies would arrive. And Karen, in all her chaotic glory, was driving herself right into the arms of law enforcement. She just didn't know who law enforcement was. The radio on my belt crackled. "Dispatch to Sheriff Reed. We have a 911 call reporting an assault at your property." I paused, took a breath. "Let me guess. White SUV, blonde hair, acting like she owns the planet." Short silence. Then Deputy Garcia's voice. "That would be her. What's she claiming?" "That a farmer attacked her. She says she fears for her life. Newman and Riley are already responding." "Of course they were. Is she still on scene?" Yes, sir. She's in your driveway." Screaming at them. "That tracks," I said. "And, Garcia, she's telling them she's president of something called the Heritage Oaks Executive Board. Copy that, Sheriff." Garcia paused. "You want me to tell her you're on your way? Or tell her you're the—" "No," I said, a slow smile creeping in. "Let's save that for the grand finale." I didn't hurry. Each crunch of my boots on gravel counted down to a reckoning she'd written for herself. As I got closer, her voice grew clearer, frantic, theatrical, the kind of panic only someone who's never faced real danger can produce. Then she saw me. Her expression detonated into pure panic. She scrambled behind Deputy Riley like a squirrel, seeking cover, her crimson blazer flaring with the sudden movement. "There," she shrieked, stabbing the air with a trembling finger. "There he is! That's the man! Don't let him come near me!" She clutched Riley's sleeve with both hands as if I were a bear lumbering down the trail. "Officers, do something! He's dangerous! He tried to strangle me." Strangle her? That was new. Riley glanced at me, jaw tight, eyes sparkling with the effort of not laughing. Newman stood motionless, hands clasped, looking like he wished he could be anywhere else. Karen kept ranting, pacing in circles, voice rising with every invented detail. "Arrest him now before he hurts someone. He stole my purse. He threatened my dog." She didn't have a dog. She didn't have a purse. And she definitely didn't understand she was performing for an audience who already knew the truth. But she kept digging deeper, louder, wilder, and all I had to do was let her talk. Let her bury herself. Let the body cam record every word. Karen was still hiding behind Riley when I stepped within speaking distance. Her crimson blazer wrinkled from clutching his arm. Her voice climbed higher the closer I got. "Officer, stop him! Don't let him walk over here. He's violent. He assaulted me. He... Riley's jaw clenched, not from fear, but from holding in a laugh. Newman stood straighter, the stance a deputy takes when his superior officer is present, but Karen mistook their stiff posture for fear. "See?" she cried. "They're terrified of him. Oh my God. Are you two rookies? Do you even know arrest protocol?" Riley's nostrils flared. A vein jumped in his temple. I stopped about 10 feet away, hands relaxed at my sides. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "no one is going to harm you." "Harm me?" she screeched. "You already did, and now you're threatening me again right in front of the police." She stomped out from behind Riley, her glossy red heels clicking sharply, and jabbed her finger practically into my chest. "This is my HOA community, and I am ordering a citizen's arrest." Behind her, Riley closed his eyes slowly like a man praying for strength. Newman cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we're still gathering statements." "There are no statements to gather," she barked. "I am the victim. He is the criminal. And you two are failing to do your jobs." She turned sharply toward them, her crimson skirt shifting with the motion. "You listen to me if you don't arrest him in the next 10 seconds. I will escalate this to the county sheriff himself and file an official misconduct complaint." At the mention of reporting to the sheriff, Newman bit his lip hard and stared at his boots to hide a smile fighting its way out. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy vibrating with righteous fury, her burgundy waves trembling. She stepped closer to Newman. "You," she snapped. "You look like you understand rules. You should be in charge here. Arrest this man immediately, or I swear I will make sure the sheriff hears about your incompetence." Riley coughed, which sounded very much like a laugh trying to escape. Karen whirled back toward me, her glossy red lips curling. "You think you're smart, don't you? You think being stubborn makes you powerful? You think you can intimidate HOA officials out of community decisions?" "Ma'am," I said calmly, "there are things you don't know." "Oh, really?" she sneered. "Is that right? Well, unless you're the governor or the county sheriff, I don't care who you." That was when dispatch crackled loudly on Newman's shoulder mic. "Unit 3, confirming the suspect's identity. Repeat, the property owner is..." I lifted my hand gently. Newman tapped his mic off mid-sentence. Karen froze for a single heartbeat. Confusion flickered across her face like a loose light bulb. Then she snapped back into anger. "Hey, don't ignore dispatch. They were about to confirm my report. Turn that back on right now. I am the one who called 911, and you will treat this like a criminal matter." Riley quietly mouthed toward me. "Sir." She really has no idea. She didn't. Not a clue. I took one slow step forward. Karen jolted backward, her crimson heels stumbling slightly. "Officers, do your job," she screamed. "Arrest him before he kills someone." Newman exhaled. Riley rubbed his forehead with the weariness of a man contemplating early retirement. The tension wasn't fear. It was the delicate, buzzing tension of a liar about to collide with the truth so hard she wouldn't know which direction was up. Riley toggled his body cam with a sharp click. Newman did the same. 2 small red lights blinked to life. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy breathing fire. Riley cleared his throat. Professional calm. "Ma'am, we need your full statement." Karen lit up like she'd been handed a microphone. "Well, finally." Riley asked the basics. Karen answered with pure delusion. "That man attacked me." "Describe the assault, please." "He grabbed me both arms and threatened me." "Did he use a weapon?" "No," she snapped. "His hands were the weapon." Riley looked at his notepad. "And the slap you mentioned on the 911 call happened when?" Karen blinked. "You mean before he attacked me?" "But on the call, you stated you slapped him because he refused to let you conduct HOA duties." Karen's eyes flicked around like loose marbles. That's not what I meant." Ma'am, Newman said, to clarify, did you slap him before he assaulted you, or after? Karen puffed up, indignant, her crimson blazer pulling tight. I slapped him when it was necessary. Behind her, Riley inhaled slowly. Newman wrote it down. Then Riley shifted gears. Ma'am, why did you enter his property? I'm HOA president, she said proudly. This land is part of our community sphere. It's private property, Newman reminded her. She waved him off. Ownership is negotiable. Riley took one slow step forward. Ma'am, you drove past multiple posted no trespassing signs. Why? Those signs don't apply to HOA leadership. Newman bit the inside of his cheek. Karen kept going. I only went deeper into the property because I was trying to escape. Escape by driving toward the farmhouse? Riley asked. Karen sputtered. I felt endangered. What endangered you? Her answer came fast. Too fast. Because he told me to leave. Silence fell like a dropped blanket. Newman wrote that down so fast his pen nearly snapped. Karen realized what she'd said and lunged toward Riley. Wait, don't write that! I didn't mean, we just need an accurate account, ma'am. You're manipulating my words. I am the victim. Why are you taking his side? Her voice cracked with furious confusion, her burgundy waves wild, her glossy red lips trembling. You need to arrest that man! What authority does he even have here? That was Riley's cue. He glanced at me. Just a flick of the eyes. I nodded. Do it. Riley stepped aside. Newman stepped back. Suddenly, Karen was standing directly in front of me, nothing between us but the truth. Her crimson blazer, once so commanding, now looked too tight, too bright. I spoke softly. Ma'am, the reason they're taking this seriously is because I am the authority here. Karen frowned, confused. What are you talking about? I reached into my back pocket and pulled out my worn leather wallet. I flipped it open. The gold star caught the sunlight, bright, crisp, unmistakable. Her eyes locked onto it, then onto my face. Ma'am, I said quietly, I'm the sheriff you called. The transformation happened in slow motion. Her anger cracked. Her confidence crumbled. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her burgundy waves seemed to lose their shine. Her glossy red lips parted in shock. The crimson blazer that had looked so powerful now hung on her like a costume she couldn't take off. Riley stood perfectly still. Newman didn't move a muscle. Karen stared at the badge like it was a ghost. Then click. Newman reached up and calmly switched his radio back on. Dispatch's voice blasted into the silence. Confirming subject is Sheriff Marcus Reed. All units be advised. Karen's head snapped toward the radio, then toward the badge, then back to me. She looked like someone had unplugged her entire personality, and for the first time since she barreled through my gate, Karen Hartley had absolutely, completely nothing to say. Karen didn't move. Not a breath, not a twitch. The dirty farmer she'd slapped, the lunatic trespasser she'd reported, the dangerous man she'd demanded be arrested, was the sheriff. My badge gleamed in morning sun like a hammer of judgment. Her eyes stayed glued to it wide, watery, trembling. I closed the wallet quietly. The leather folded with a soft, deliberate snap. All right, I said, voice low. Let's clean this up. Those words hit her harder than handcuffs. She staggered back. Riley reached out not to protect her, but to keep her from eating gravel. Her mouth opened and closed. You're not. No, you're lying. This is a trick. Ma'am, Riley said calmly, we don't prank people with police badges, especially not the sheriff's badge, Newman added. Karen shook her head so hard her sunglasses nearly flew off, her crimson blazer shifting awkwardly. That man attacked me. He threatened me. She jabbed a trembling finger toward me. You can't be the sheriff. You were fixing a fence. You were dirty. I nodded. Sheriffs get dirty too, ma'am. We just don't get stupid. Newman made a choking sound. Karen spun on him, fury blazing in her eyes beneath smudged makeup. Don't you dare make light of this. Then back to me, desperate. You tricked me. You walked onto my land, I said. You slapped me. You lied to dispatch. You damaged my property. You refused to leave. I leaned forward slightly. You tricked yourself. Her lips trembled. Her glossy red lipstick smudged at the corners. That's entrapment! Riley stepped in. No, ma'am. This is called body cam footage. Karen froze again, her burgundy waves falling forward. You had no right, she hissed. No right to what? I asked. To let you talk? You were supposed to tell me. Would it have changed anything you did? She didn't answer. Couldn't. She looked at me, really looked, and realized I wasn't some man she could bully with HOA titles and fake authority. For people like Karen, that realization hurts worse than cuffs. I straightened. Newman. Riley. We're switching protocols. Both deputies sharpened instantly. Yes, Sheriff. Step 1. Secure the scene. Document every point of property damage. Karen gasped, her crimson blazer bunching. I did not damage anything. Riley pointed to deep tire ruts through my orchard. That wasn't the wind, ma'am. Step 2, I continued. Statements and timestamps. Full documentation for court. Yes, sir, Newman said. Karen's eyes bulged. Court? You're taking this to court? That's what happens when crimes are committed. She clutched her chest. This is ridiculous! You can't arrest me! I'm HOA president! Newman muttered. Not for long. Karen heard him. Her face twisted. You listen to me. I demand to file a complaint right now. Against you, against him, against all of you. Riley didn't blink. You can file anything you want, ma'am, after you're in custody. Karen staggered back, her red heels stumbling on gravel. No, you can't do this. I have a board meeting today. We're voting on new bylaws. You should have thought about bylaws before driving your SUV through my fence, I said. I didn't know it was your fence! That's what the giant sign reading private property Sheriff Reed is for. She swallowed hard. Sheriff, Newman said, do we place her under arrest now? Karen wheeled on him. You touch me and I'll own this county. Riley sighed softly. Ma'am, please stop threatening to own things. I stepped forward, boots crunching. Karen's voice shrank. You should have told me who you were. I would have behaved differently. And that, I said quietly, is exactly why I didn't. She blinked, confused. What? You treat people based on what you think they can do for you, not who they are. I pointed to the crushed saplings behind her. That damage back there, that slap you threw, that lie you told dispatch. None of that changes because of my title. She stared at the ground. Riley pulled out his cuffs. Ma'am. Karen stiffened, shaking. No. This isn't happening. I met her eyes. Ma'am, it already happened. I turned slightly. Deputy Riley. Deputy Newman. Take her into custody. Karen drew a breath like she was about to unleash a scream. But the scream never came. She just stood there, silenced, defeated, shrinking. Click. The sound of cold steel locking around her wrists echoed across the silent pasture. And just like that, her perfect little HOA kingdom folded in on itself. Karen didn't resist the cuffs physically. She just went stiff like a mannequin, realizing it wasn't in control anymore. Riley guided her toward the cruiser. Newman walked behind, ready. But Karen's fight was all in her mouth. This is illegal! This is humiliating! This is... You're being arrested, ma'am, Riley corrected softly. For what? Please refer to the list you helped us build over the last 20 minutes, Karen gasped. Riley opened the cruiser's back door. Watch your head, ma'am. I will not watch anything. She planted both feet. I'm not getting in that car. Ma'am, you have to. No, I refuse. Newman stepped forward. Ma'am, small detail. You're already under arrest. The refusing part was supposed to happen earlier. Karen twisted around, frantic, her crimson blazer disheveled, burgundy waves wild. You let him trick me. You all let him manipulate the situation? Newman looked at her. No, ma'am, he said, breaking just slightly. It's hilarious. Riley shot him a warning glare. Karen sputtered. This is outrageous. I am the HOA president! And now you're in the back of a patrol car, Newman said. Life comes at you fast. Riley guided her down. Karen went limp, the worst tactic imaginable. She descended into the back seat with all the grace of dropped bread dough. The door shut with a heavy thunk. I walked toward the cruiser. She pressed her forehead against the glass, eyes wild. "You!" she shrieked through the window. "You listen to me right now. You are making the biggest mistake of your life. I will have your badge. I will have your job. I will have." Riley leaned down calmly. "Ma'am, do you want the window cracked for air, or—" "I want justice." Newman nodded. "That's exactly where we're taking you." Karen let out a noise somewhere between a growl and a sneeze. There's a particular look people get when the story in their head collides with reality. Karen cycled through all of it in 40 seconds flat. "This is a misunderstanding," she pleaded suddenly, voice dropping like she'd discovered sympathy points. "Sheriff, let's be reasonable." "You slapped me," I said. "I panicked. You trespassed. I was trying to help. You filed a false 911 report. That was the only number I knew. You destroyed my saplings." She hesitated. "Well, that one might have been the car's fault." "Behind me," Newman whispered. "The tree-killing car. Truly a menace." Riley covered his mouth. Karen pressed harder against the window, her face flattening, her crimson blazer bunched awkwardly. "Sheriff," she whispered urgently, "please. My neighbors can't see me like this. My board can't see me like this. If word gets out, words always get out," I said gently. "It's public record." Her soul seemed to leave her body. Riley's radio crackled. "Dispatch to Riley. Go ahead." "We have a male caller. Agitated. Identifies himself as vice chair of the Heritage Oaks HOA. He says the board demands the release of President Hartley." Newman muttered, "Oh boy." He insists it's all a misunderstanding and says, quote, "We have urgent HOA business requiring her signature." Karen lit up. "Yes." "Yes! Put him through! Tell him I raised a hand." "Dispatch, Sheriff Reed. Your directive." I spoke clearly. Advised the caller that the president is unavailable due to multiple active criminal charges. Copy. "He's yelling now, sir." "Let him," I said. "He'll run out of breath eventually." Karen pounded her cuffed wrists against the window. "You can't do this." "My community needs me." "Ma'am," I said, leaning down so she couldn't look away. "Your community is exactly why you're in that car." She froze. Riley tapped the roof. "Ready for transport, Sheriff?" I nodded. The patrol car rolled forward. Through the rear window, I saw Karen wide-eyed, cuffed, shrieking at no one and everyone. Her crimson blazer was wrinkled now, her burgundy waves disheveled, her glossy red lips trembling. She was used to holding the gavel, but where she was going, the gavel belonged to someone else. The county jail sits behind the courthouse, small, square, brick. Most folks never think about it until they're brought inside. Riley pulled into the intake bay. The metal door rattled shut behind us. For a moment, the car fell quiet. Then Riley opened the back door. Karen flinched as if the light itself were hostile. "No," she whispered. "I'm not going in there. This isn't for people like me." "Ma'am," Riley said quietly, "this is exactly for people like you." She stared at him, stunned. I stepped forward. "Karen, step out of the car." Her legs shook as she did. The duty officer looked up. "Morning, Sheriff. What have we got?" "Suspect charged with trespassing, property destruction, filing a false police report, and assaulting an officer." Karen jolted. "I did not assault." Riley calmly pointed to his body cam. "We have it recorded." "Ma'am." Her mouth closed. The officer slid a clipboard across the counter. "Ma'am, I need your name." Karen stood stiff, didn't speak. "Ma'am?" She looked at me instead. "I don't belong here," she whispered. "You put yourself here," I said. She swallowed hard, finally murmured, "Karen Hartley. Any medical issues we should know about?" "My issue," she snapped, "is that this entire situation is—" "Ma'am," Riley cut in quietly, "just answer the question." Her jaw worked. "No. No medical issues." The officer nodded. "Step over here for fingerprinting." Karen stiffened. her wrinkled crimson blazer shifting. "You can't take my fingerprints." "That's part of the booking process, ma'am, but I'm not a criminal." "That's what the court will determine." Her fingers trembled as the officer rolled them across the scanner. She winced, like her identity was being stolen. Then came the mugshot. She stood stiff, chin high, still trying to pose like she was on a realtor billboard. "Ma'am, lower your chin." She refused. "Ma'am." She relented by half an inch. Flash. The light revealed everything, the smugness, the panic, the exhaustion, the denial. "Is that going to be public?" she whispered. "Yes." She closed her eyes. The officer opened a reinforced door. Karen stared inside simple metal bench, concrete walls, no cushions, no control. "This," she whispered, horrified, "is barbaric." "It's standard procedure," I said. "You can't put me in there. I'm HOA president." "Not in here, you're not." Newman guided her gently but firmly into the room. Karen spun around, hands still cuffed, her burgundy waves falling forward. "Please, Sheriff, I can explain everything. I've heard everything." "No. You heard what I said, not what I meant." "That's usually how words work." She took a step closer, desperate. "If you let me out right now, I won't press charges. I won't call the county board. I won't—" "Ma'am," I interrupted, "you don't negotiate from a jail cell." For the first time, the truth finally reached her. I saw it the moment the weight settled on her shoulders. The HOA president, who controlled paint colors, lawn heights, mailbox designs, was facing something she couldn't regulate: accountability. Karen stumbled back and sat on the cold bench. Not dramatically, just defeated. Her voice shrank to a whisper. "What happens now? You'll wait here until your hearing. You'll be assigned a public defender unless you hire one. The judge will hear the charges and decide next steps." Her breathing hitched. And my community? My HOA? My neighbors? That's for them to decide. She touched her cuffed wrist to her forehead. This can't be happening. But it was, and she'd made every choice that led to it. Newman stepped outside. Riley followed. I paused at the doorway. "You'll get through this," I said quietly. She lifted her head, eyes glassy. "Sheriff, am I going to jail? For how long? Depends on what you do next." The door closed with a heavy metallic clack. Behind it, for the first time, Karen Hartley didn't shout, didn't argue, didn't demand anything. She just sat there in a room she couldn't control, under rules she didn't write, facing consequences she never believed could apply to her. The courthouse isn't grand, just old brick with a white porch, 2 creaky doors, and a flag that snaps hard when the wind kicks up. But that morning, it felt heavier, like the whole town had leaned in to listen. HOA members gathered out front stiff polos, clipboards like security blankets. They whispered fast when they saw me climb the steps. Then the transport van pulled up. When Karen stepped out in a beige jail jumpsuit, ankles shackled, the board gasped like someone had shot fireworks indoors. She didn't look at me, didn't look at anyone. Her face was drawn, pale, smaller. Inside, the benches filled fast. Small towns don't get entertainment often. Karen sat beside her public defender, a tired woman who looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. Judge Hargreaves entered, robes flowing. "All rise." He settled behind the bench. "Let's proceed. State versus Karen Hartley." The prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, we present charges of criminal trespass, filing a false police report, property destruction, and assaulting a peace officer." Karen winced at each phrase. "Does the defendant contest these charges?" Karen opened her mouth, but her attorney touched her arm. "Your Honor, my client wishes to provide context." "Context," the judge repeated, "is not a substitute for truth. Proceed carefully, counselor." The prosecutor clicked a remote. Body cam footage appeared on screen. Karen's voice boomed across the courtroom, the slap, the shouting, the lies, the threats. The room physically retracted. Even HOA members who'd once followed her looked away. Karen covered her face with her hands, her jail jumpsuit wrinkling. "Your Honor," the attorney paused the footage, "my client is under great stress. She has been working tirelessly for her community. Judge Hargreaves raised a hand. Counselor, your client abused her position. That is not community service. That is tyranny in cul-de-sacs. A few people coughed into their hands, the small town version of laughter. The judge looked directly at Karen. Mrs. Hartley, please stand. She rose unsteadily. Do you deny striking the sheriff? Her throat tightened. No, Your Honor. Do you deny trespassing onto his land? No, Your Honor. Do you deny filing a false report? Her eyes glistened. I panicked. That is not an answer. She swallowed. No, Your Honor. HOA members shifted uncomfortably. Some folded arms. Some stared at shoes. Some realized they'd followed the wrong person for far too long. Mrs. Hartley, do you have anything to say before sentencing? She looked around the courtroom, the benches, the board members, the deputies, me. I thought, she whispered, I thought I was helping the community. The judge answered with fatherly disappointment. Helping your community, Mrs. Hartley, is not the same as controlling it. I understand, she said quietly. For your sake, he replied. I hope that's true. Judge Hargreaves shuffled papers. For trespassing, willful property damage, and filing a false report, you will reimburse the sheriff for all damages sustained. You will complete 60 hours of community service, supervised. You will serve 1 year of probation, during which any violation will reactivate all suspended penalties. The courtroom rustled. And finally, effective immediately, you are barred from holding any HOA leadership position for 24 months. Karen's shoulders dropped. Not in outrage, not in rebellion, in surrender, the judge finished. This court will not tolerate the misuse of authority, especially when wrapped in the language of community. He banged the gavel once. Crack. Next case. As deputies escorted Karen out, she looked at me, not with hatred, not with defiance, with something like tired humility. Sheriff, she whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't nod, didn't smile, but I held her gaze. I hope you mean that, I said. The doors shut behind her with a soft echo. The courthouse slowly emptied, neighbors murmuring, HOA members avoiding eye contact, everyone walking out a little quieter than they walked in. By late afternoon, I was home. The fence was still broken, the saplings still crushed, but the air felt different, cleaner. I walked up to the porch. There, tucked under a horseshoe paperweight, was an envelope, my name written in shaky handwriting. I opened it. Inside, a short note. Sheriff Reed, I know words don't fix things, but they're all I have right now. I'm sorry. Karen, I folded it carefully and slid it into my jacket. Out in the fields, evening light stretched long and golden. A hawk circled overhead. The world kept turning. I leaned against the porch post and breathed deep. Justice isn't fast. It isn't loud. It isn't flashy. But when it finally arrives, it comes with the kind of quiet that lets a man hear his land breathe again. And that was enough.